Have you ever wished, you just had a clear blueprint for understanding people? Like really understanding their character? What if I told you an ancient text offers exactly that? A detailed guide to seeing not just what people do, but who they fundamentally are. Today, we're doing a deep dive into this really extraordinary text. It's an ancient Buddhist scripture called the Cūḷapuṇṇamasuttaṃ, the shorter discourse on the full moon. So our mission, really, for this deep dive is to unpack this text's framework. It defines what it calls unworthy and worthy persons in incredible detail. We'll look at their qualities, their intentions, words, actions, views, even how they give things away, their generosity. The goal here is to pull out these timeless insights, things that can genuinely impact how you see yourself and maybe others too. It's almost like a shortcut to understanding the architecture of character. So, okay, try to picture this. A clear night, full moon, back in ancient India, Savatthi. The Buddha is sitting outside with this silent group of monks all around him, and the text just kicks off with this fascinating riddle. The Buddha asks, can an unworthy person recognize another unworthy person? And the answer in the text, a surprising no. Then he asks, okay, can an unworthy person recognize a worthy person? And again, no. It sets a really puzzling tone right from the start.
It's quite a beginning, isn't it? That idea, that impossibility of recognition. It immediately grabs you. You have to wonder why. Why can't the unworthy person see themselves or others clearly? Does the text get into the reason for that lack of discernment? Or does it just state it?
Oh, yeah, that's a perfect question to start with. And yes, the text absolutely digs into it. It doesn't just leave you hanging. It implies that their fundamental qualities, these unwholesome ones we're about to discuss, they actively cloud their perception. They can't see straight, basically. So it dives right into painting the first portrait, the asaparisa, that's the term for the unworthy person. And it starts right at the foundation. 7 core qualities.
Yeah, sadhamasa. These 7 qualities are being faithless, shameless, reckless, having little learning, being lazy, forgetful, and unwise. What's really striking is that these aren't just like separate little flaws. It's presented as a whole internal system. If you're fundamentally lacking in these ways, no real moral anchor, not much intellectual depth, no self-discipline, it really does set the stage for everything else that follows. It's almost like the text is saying these inner states aren't just traits, they're like the roots underground. Everything else, their thoughts, words, actions, just grows out of them. It's quite deterministic, actually.
And, connecting this to the bigger picture, it really highlights that idea that we tend to gravitate towards people who kind of mirror us, right? Reinforcing our own stuff. The text explicitly says an unworthy person's companions, their asaparisa, are people who share these exact same qualities: fakeless, shameless, reckless, little learning, lazy, forgetful, unwise, ascetics, and Brahmins even.
Right. So it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. Your company reinforces your nature. It makes total sense. And then when it talks about their intentions, the text is really blunt. An unworthy person's thoughts, their deliberations, that's the asaparisa sinti, asaparisa manti. They're focused on harming themselves, harming others, or harming both. And what's really telling is how those harmful thoughts then translate directly into their speech.
Yeah, their speech, the asaparisa is just as damaging. They're prone to lying, divisive speech, setting people against each other, harsh speech, and just idle chatter, gossip, meaningless talk. Think about how common those are, right? Not just back then, but now, especially online. Anonymous comments can be pure idle chatter or way worse, like harsh speech meant to divide people. It's like the Buddha saw the internet coming.
It really feels like that sometimes. And the actions, well, they just follow the same pattern. 3 main unwholesome deeds, the asaparisa kamanto. Taking life, taking what's not given, so stealing. That's sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
You see the clear line. Inner state, intention, word, action. But maybe the deepest layer of this whole portrait is their basic worldview, their philosophy, if you like.
That part really jumped out at me, too. The text puts a lot of weight on something called the unworthy view, the asaparisa. It feels foundational. And it describes it as this profound kind of nihilism. The unworthy person basically believes nothing matters. No charity, no sacrifice, no offerings have any real effect. No results from good or bad deeds. No this world, no next world. No mother, no father, not in a karmic consequence sense. No spontaneously arising beings like devas or ghosts. And critically, no enlightened teachers, no ascetics or Brahmins who've actually figured things out and can teach about this world and the next from direct knowledge. It's all meaningless to them.
And that's where the text gives us this really crucial distinction. If you genuinely believe there are 0 consequences for your actions, well, that's not just some abstract idea. It becomes your operating system for life, Imagine the, well, not freedom, but the danger of living without any kind of moral compass because you fundamentally don't believe one exists or matters. It's a really deep insight into this unworthy view. And it even affects how they give things, which is fascinating, right? The text isn't just looking at if they give, but how. The mindset behind it. Generosity itself can be unwholesome depending on the intention. So the unworthy person gives gifts, but in these 5 specific ways. Without respect, not directly with their own hand, without real care, sort of carelessly or contemptuously, and crucially, believing it has no future result or merit.
So yeah, it's not about the gift itself, but the complete lack of heart, the lack of respect or good intention behind it. And to wrap up this pretty grim picture, the text states their destiny after death in paragraph 141. It's rebirth in hell or as an animal. Okay, so we've walked through that first blueprint, the asaparisa, the unworthy person. It's a pretty comprehensive picture, isn't it? Quite stark. But now let's flip the coin. Let's look at the other blueprint, the equally detailed and thankfully profoundly contrasting portrait of the worthy person, the saparisa, as the Cūḷapuṇṇamasuttaṃ describes them. And maybe we could start back with that riddle. Remember, can a worthy person recognize another worthy person? The answer this time, yes. And can a worthy person recognize an unworthy person? Again, yes.
Right. And that ability to recognize, the text implies, comes directly from their own inner state. They have this clarity, this discernment, because they're aligned with wholesome qualities themselves. It lets them see both virtue and the lack of it clearly. It's like their internal compass is working properly, finely tuned to reality. And the foundation for this worthy person, the sadhamasa, is built on 7 opposite qualities: being faithful, modest, or having conscience; cautious, like having a healthy fear of doing wrong; being learned, diligent, mindful, and wise. Notice how every single one is the direct opposite of the unworthy person's traits. It's a complete flip.
Yeah, a total reversal. And just as you'd expect, their companions, the Sapirasabhati, are people who embody these same positive qualities. That magnetic attraction principle works both ways, reinforcing the good stuff in this case.
Exactly. And their intentions, their deliberations are wholesome too. The worthy person thinks and plans, that's sapursasinti and sapursamanti, in ways that do not harm themselves, do not harm others, and do not harm both. It's actively aiming for well-being.
And what's so, well, logical about the text is how that wholesome intention flows straight into their words. Their speech, saparisa vako, is also wholesome. They abstain from lying, they avoid divisive talk, they don't use harsh language, and they stay away from idle chatter. Their speech is constructive, unifying, kind.
And their actions, the sapurasakamanto, follow suit naturally, abstaining from taking life, abstaining from taking what's not given, and abstaining from sexual misconduct. It's this complete package, isn't it? Thought, word, and deed all lined up. But just like with the unworthy person, the absolute core, the bedrock of the worthy character, is their view.
Right. And this is where the contrast gets really interesting for the worthy person. Their right view, the Spurge's idea, is all about affirmation. It's about consequence. They believe, yes, there is meaning in charity, sacrifice, offerings. Yes, there is fruit or result from good and bad deeds. There's this world, there's a next world, there is mother, there is father. In that significant karmic sense, there are spontaneously arisen beings. And crucially, yes, there are wise teachers, ascetics, and Brahmins who've practiced correctly and can reveal these truths about this world and the next through their own direct knowing.
So what's the upshot of all this?
Yeah.
Well, this affirming worldview, it's the foundation of their entire wholesome character. It's the polar opposite of that nihilism we saw earlier. If the unworthy person's view is like an operating system missing a moral compass, the worthy person's view is like an OS that's hardwired with connection, consequence, and just a deep respect for reality. And naturally, their giving reflects this too.
Indeed, it does. The worthy person's giving, their sapurisadhanadeti, is also done in 5 specific ways. But they're the positive mirror image, with respect, with their own hand, with care and consideration, with pure intent, and with the view that, yes, this action will have a future consequence, a positive result. So it's not just the act of giving, but the respect, the care, the purity of intention behind it that makes it a truly wholesome, beneficial act.
Absolutely. And to complete this second, much more hopeful portrait, the text describes the destiny for such a worthy person after death. In paragraph 152, it says, rebirth as a powerful devout God, essentially, or as a powerful, fortunate human being. So if we kind of zoom out and connect all this to the bigger picture, what really stands out, I think, is the incredible internal consistency of each type. Every single piece, qualities, intentions, speech, actions, views, even how they give it all lines up perfectly for both the worthy and the unworthy person. This isn't just, random list of good and bad things. It's a truly holistic picture of how deep inner beliefs and attitudes ripple outwards, shaping the entire character. It's like ancient behavioral psychology thousands of years early.
So why should you, listening right now, care about this ancient deep dive? Well, because this text offers this remarkably clear, practical framework for self-reflection, definitely, but also for maybe understanding the people around you a bit better. And maybe the most surprising thing, or the real aha moment in all this, is how profoundly that fundamental view, that belief system, whether it's nihilistic or affirming, how it seems to underpin and drive everything else, every quality, every action, every outcome described. It suggests that changing how you see the world isn't just some intellectual exercise. It could actually transform your whole character.
Right. And that really prompts you to ask yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which of these qualities resonate more strongly within me? How do my own beliefs, my own views shape my intentions and my actions day to day? This isn't really about slapping labels on people as worthy or unworthy. It's more about taking a deeper, maybe more critical look at the fabric of human nature itself, including our own, and thinking about how we might consciously cultivate more of those worthy qualities in our own lives.
So we've journeyed through these incredibly detailed blueprints of character from the Cūḷapuṇṇamasuttaṃ. We've seen that stark contrast between the asapurisa, the unworthy, and the sapurisa, the worthy person, defined not just by what they do, but by their core qualities, their intentions, and maybe most importantly, their fundamental worldview. So here's a thought to take with you. As you go about your day, maybe with these ancient blueprints kind of in the back of your mind, what aspect of these descriptions might you notice first, either in yourself or perhaps in others? And maybe more importantly, how might understanding these distinctions actually impact the choices you make or even the company you choose to keep starting today?